Hi everyone, I'm William Strife, and today I'm going to address Fallout 4. Or more specifically, the fakes and facts surrounding Fallout 4. A lot of you probably know about or are at least aware of lots of controversial news in the previous weeks about Fallout 4. But if you don't know, let's start at the beginning. Several weeks ago, a website at the address thesurvivor2299.com appeared with a countdown timer. The page had Morse code beeping in the background and a Vault-Tec logo. As time went on, the Morse code changed over and over, delivering a different message each time, ultimately telling a story. The entire presentation was well thought out, and many people believed the site to be an authentic PR campaign by Bethesda for the next Fallout title. However, it wasn't. Just days before the site's countdown timer was set to expire and community interest hit a fever pitch, Pete Hines, Bethesda's head of public relations, called the site out for being fake. When this happened, the fallout, no pun intended, was pretty substantial. A lot of people believed the Survivor website was authentic. Thus, just as many people felt severely betrayed to discover that it was fraudulent. Now, everyone is extremely skeptical of anything indicating the game's development. Fast forward 1 week. Kotaku breaks a story claiming that documents they've acquired are from an authentic casting call from Bethesda. Fallout is never referenced in the content, but a considerable amount of solid indicators, including the quote, "War never changes," is amongst the writing. Very few people believe the authenticity of the published documents, though, many having learned their lesson from the bogus website just the week before. That's about where things stand right now, and just the other day, I put up a video that basically says, I believe the leaked documents are authentic. Naturally, several people are upset about this, believing my judgment to be in error. Now that the story has been told, I'm going to back up and tell you what I was thinking while all of this happened. The two important facts being how, 1, I never believed the Survivor website to be authentic from the get-go, and 2, why I believe the leaked documents to be the real deal. First off, the Survivor website. I caught wind of its existence very early, and to check its authenticity, the first thing I did was dig into its source code. Right off the bat, I found that the date format wasn't American. It was using the British format instead. This was the first completely visible and glaring red flag I saw. Bethesda is an American company. They don't have a good reason to use the British date format, especially for a game series like Fallout, which is intrinsically American. The second fact that I dug up was the who is for ownership of the domain name. The site address was registered to a Bethesda Softworks with their full information given. However, it wasn't registered through corporate domains, the company that all other Bethesda websites are registered through. Instead, it was picked up through GoDaddy, which raised another red flag for me. These first two facts raised a lot of suspicion, but they didn't disprove Bethesda's involvement entirely. However, the third thing I checked was much more damning. I traced the website's IP address and discovered that it originated from Poland. That was it for me. I knew at that point that it was fake, and the site was being updated rapidly, with lots of the inaccuracies either getting erased, or they were being explained with notes in the site's source code to excuse the oddities. None of that mattered to me though. I saw what I needed to see. I went off on a tweet tirade on Twitter, ranting about the site being fake. From the moment it showed up on my radar, I didn't believe it, but lots of other people weren't as thorough as I. Thus, enter the Media Meltdown. Now you know what stance I was at when the document leak came out via Kotaku. I was much more tempered. So now that we're up to date, let me tell you what I know about these leaked documents and why I think that they're authentic. A lot of people are calling the lines written in the casting call fake because at least one page clearly references a pre-war period in the player character's speech, which also indicates that the player will be voiced, something thus far unseen in Bethesda games and Fallout altogether. Also, the speech itself expresses that Ron Perlman, the man who narrates the beginning of all Fallout games and utters the phrase "War never changes," will be replaced by the player character, who has the lines instead. And on a short trailing note, the lines really aren't that well written according to the opinion of many people. Now, with all of that said, I'll address all of it with an overarching trend that people don't seem to be acquainted with when it comes to casting calls. Frequently in casting calls, especially when it comes to high-profile productions, the content that the talent ends up reading is fluff. In other words, it's not from the actual script, it's extra content that's specifically produced for audition purposes. What this means is, these casting call documents can be real, but not have anything to do with what will actually end up in the game, or represent how the actual content is written. Now for the authenticity of the documents. Regardless of how some people feel, Kotaku is a fairly reliable news source, and they have decided to go on the record as claiming these documents are confirmed as authentic. What this means is they have acquired one or more off-the-record statements from sources they trust. This isn't optimal because it asks readers to believe the publication based on trust, which a lot of people just won't do. It counts for something in my book though, but more important is the circumstance under which they received these documents. The casting call papers were leaked little more than 1 week before the Survivor site was debunked. In other words, just as the fake site was gaining hype and beginning to build to a fever pitch, someone in this day and age decided to calmly and quietly leak documents about a very hot topic to a gaming news website. I ask you one very simple question. Who would do this? A simple everyday person or fan? Because whoever submitted those documents clearly knew their potential value. No average person or fan would have leaked the papers, not in this age of social media. It would have ended up on Instagram or Tumblr, tweeted and Facebooked into oblivion before journalists could have talked about it, much less break the story. Thus, the question remains, who would have leaked these type of documents to a gaming website that checks for authenticity? I'll tell you who. Someone who can't be caught leaking information. Someone like an actor who got the documents directly from Bethesda, or Bethesda's own PR campaign. That's who. The content, the timing, who the documents were leaked to, they just don't carry the mark of fake. Instead, they reek of authentic leak or carefully planned PR move. One that takes advantage of events outside of Bethesda's direct control. This is why I believe them to be real. Now, for those of you who still don't believe me, please continue to be skeptical. By all means, you have good reason to be. And for all of you who are convinced, remember that I believe these casting documents do not have material that will appear in the game. Meaning that we still know nothing, other than, with my explanation, that beyond a reasonable doubt, Bethesda is at a stage of development where they require voice talent. Also, for all of you who say that Kotaku is outright lying, keep in mind that they gain little to nothing from deliberately misleading people, so they have no reason to do so. Well, that's it. I've said my piece. Questions? Comments? Maybe some of you still want to call me an idiot despite my explanation? Well, go ahead and hit the comments section. But otherwise, I'll see you next time. Strife out.